So, Saloni said, I will speak to you all about the way Kenna lived and the way she moved on. And let's take it in connection with something we all know, but don't really know, because we know it as something that we studied in social studies sometime. And I think apart from the 10-mark question, which we learned this for, we never got to do much about it. And that is, what is Buddha's Eightfold Path? That is a 10-mark question. Kenna and I are practicing Buddhists, and the Eightfold Path is a way of living that guides us towards nirvana. It is that awakening which the Buddha got in one lifetime, which each of us can get. And I'm thrilled to tell you all that Kenna was on that path. So what is this path, and how did Kenna live on it? She had a wonderful life. But I'll just talk about the last few months, where the first thing on the path is the right understanding, the right view. And while this applies to a lot of things that we do in life, I will focus this on death. Because strangely, that is the one thing that all of us in this room have in common. Death. It's going to come to each one of us. And if this talk can help us understand the right understanding which Kenna had, I think it will help all of us, because she went in a way that is admirable. The right understanding is the understanding that everything is impermanent. Nothing is forever. And that death is a transition from this physical form into another form that we're not as familiar with while we're in this body. But as Buddhists, we practice the techniques to familiarize ourselves with the forms post-transition. And we create habits out of that while we're alive, so that as we are transiting, we are able to be guided by the habits that we have formed. This is the first precept. Have the right view about death. Second is the right intent. Now, the intent really means, how are you living your life with the practices? So, in the last few months, when Kenna knew that medical science does not have an answer for her, she intensified those practices. And as late as April, she said something to me, which I will read out to you shortly. I will read it to you in a bit. But it was because she was starting to put those learnings into practice with the intent of passing through. The third precept is the right speech. Now, what you intend, you bring into life through the spoken word. And Kenna was very particular that we don't have a lot of that C word going around in our general conversations. There was no need for it because every word that we bring out to our speech carries a certain energy. And we don't want that energy multiplying with more people talking about it. So I'm sorry that most of you didn't know what we knew last June, that she's got cancer. It's 1 year. Many of you got to know after the surgery in September, which is a big one, that something had happened. But it was only when she spoke to many of you on the 1st of January that she expressed that she's got this condition. By which time we knew that it was a terminal condition. She didn't know, but the doctors knew. And I kept it away from her. So that she could intensify her practice and do a lot of keeping those energies in her favor, which she did. The fourth precept is right action. You have an intention, you talk about the right things, but unless you do something, nothing's going to change. And so the right actions for all of us are at 3 levels, because all of us are at 3 levels: the level of the body, the level of the mind, and the level of the spirit. And what we can do at the level of the body, at the physical level, is take care of our finances, take care of our wills, let people know that we are well set, whatever age we might be. Another example of age not mattering, but doing this, and she did this. At the mental level, what is very important to pass in peace is to be grateful, to forgive, and to follow the intent, the purpose, the practices. For example, in her case, the mind gets liberated, which is what we're talking about, the Eightfold Path to liberation. The mind gets liberated when we can express gratitude and let go of anything that might be holding us back. And she did that. She did that in writing. She did that in writing to others, expressing, as well as in her own writings, in her own notes, in her own audio notes, so that the baggage is removed. And at the level of the spirit, it's about connecting with the frequency. Because when we transition from the physical form, we transition into the form that we can only perceive. It's an energy. It's a spirit form, body, mind, and spirit. And the spirit moves on frequencies. So the more we can find certain frequencies that we resonate with, that we feel good by, which in her case were a lot of talks and a lot of mantras and some of the very subtle meditative practices which she did. But for each one of us, we've got to get some sounds, some songs, some mantras, maybe some bhajans, which give us that peace, so that when we play them, our spirit is getting connected, getting lightened, getting ready for liberation. Following the action is the livelihood. Now remember, these are Buddha's precepts for living, but I'm giving you the context in context of death. But your actions determine your livelihood. And for Kenna, her livelihood, in a sense, which she was passionate about, was teaching. And she was taking classes all the way till May, after which she got maybe 2 weeks to do that. In spite of which she kept 3 students to half of May also. And she was doing that with the spirit to serve, with the spirit to inspire, and also, by way of livelihood, it's about money and that sort of exchange. So we amplified the kind of donations we were making, and she identified the places that we want to keep contributing to. That, in a sense, is livelihood. What you give, you get. The sixth precept is about right effort. Whatever you do with your actions, with your livelihood, you've got to put in the effort. But if you put the effort in the right direction, what it means in Kenna's case is learning and applying. And so she was learning new things. She was exploring new concepts of energetic meditation, which would make her subtler, make her understand how she is one with space. And there are a lot of meditations by Joe Dispenza, who she's been following, which were new to her, but very inspiring. And importantly, they got her to start accepting what could happen in any which way. Because on one hand, with meditations like these, there are so many cases of people seeing the light and coming back. There's so many cases of people just getting healed through doing this. And she was hoping for that, but also accepting that even if none of that works, she will pass in an elevated way, which is something that would be just wonderful for all of us. And now I will read what she had an insight while making this right effort. And she told it to me, and I just kept writing. And she said, it's a very fine line to be grateful for your healing without expecting when and how. Just being grateful for healing without control of the outcome or expectations. That's the challenge. It applies to all you want to create or manifest. The when and how bring in the ego. You must walk out of that and remain in gratitude. Despite vomiting and fever, you have to thank your body. Obstacles arise to make yourself question, how much do I love life? Enjoy life. The biggest lesson of this time is that without generating appreciation, love, compassion, gratitude, your life doesn't become worthwhile. First, you overcome the critical mind. Stop criticizing others. Helps to stop criticizing yourself. So you accept yourself. In gratitude, there is no space for resentment and grudges in your heart. You don't care about bad times, suffering, because you are here because of that. All that has helped you grow. You must forgive and embrace the goodness of others and yourself. Before I go to the last two precepts, I'd like to tell you that, you can gauge from the depth of these paras that thanks to our travels and our presence online, especially hers, her life is being celebrated in 10 countries across 4 continents. People are doing prayers in Nepal, Singapore, Bhutan, India, China, Germany, Spain, US, Mexico, and New Zealand. Thank you all. You are here. Everybody in the room. She has touched us all with this profundity of her thoughts. And what the Buddha said coming back to the Eightfold Path, is that after the right effort, you need right mindfulness. Remember, which is what mindfulness is about. What is it that you're doing? And this brings me to the last night with her, which she was at home, in her own bed. 2 days before she passed, she started for the first time saying that she's in pain, before which there was weakness and mental agony, but physical pain she had around the 31st and 1st, and she had painkillers and sedation, despite of which she was mindful. She remembered that she's done all these practices. She's lived on all these 8 precepts of the Eightfold Path for all her life, but especially amplified in social seclusion for the last 6-8 months. She remembered at that time, at around 12:31 in the night, to ask me to turn her. And in a sense, those were her last words, if you will. I sleep on the right side, and the wall is further on my right. She was here, and she was facing the other wall. She said, turn me. I want to see the roof. And I turned her on her back. She was seeing the roof. She said, more. Turned her more. And she wanted to be turned at the time that she was facing this wall, which is facing the west. It's a very auspicious direction to face as far as our understanding of the next life goes in Buddhism. She called that the roof. 3 or 4 hours after that, I heard her. I mean, she made a strange sound, for want of a better word, like they say, broken death. So it was like a croak. It was like a sound. And I was wondering what that was. So I switched on the light, and then it came again 2 or 3 times. And the last time that it came, it was like a click. And that was the last breath. At 4:28, with the hands folded, her eyes open, facing the west. Very, very over. With not only the right mindfulness, but also the right concentration, which is the last one, in samadhi. She had told us, don't move me, don't touch me, because that's also very important in this transition that the Buddhists have documented over the last 1,000 years. And so we did not touch her physical body till it went into rigor mortis, which her skin never went into, even till the funeral. Like I said, last week, same time, she was still having a soft skin, but the muscles had hardened, so we had, and the blood had started congealing. You could see that it's a state called Tukdam, where many of the lamas that we know and have met, who have passed, have stayed in that state for a month. And sometimes I wonder, maybe she could have, but maybe not, because the hardness of the muscles had set in, and maybe she will in the next life, unless she's already taken her path to liberation. Because when you cultivate the habits, they're the habits that pass on in the mind stream. That's what karma is. Karma is action, action is habit. So the karmic consciousness, the karmic mind stream starts off from where you leave, if you leave in mindfulness and concentration. And that's what I learned from her as she exemplified it. And it's my privilege to share with you, because it is not something that we put to test. It is wisdom from 2,600 years ago by somebody who did get awakened. I hope for all of you that awakening